Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Neurodiversity Support Podcast. I am your host, Annika, a local neurodivergent and neurodiversity specialist, and we are back today with a very interesting interview of a neurodivergent. Today we have Jackie. Now, Jackie is an ADHD woman, which is a little bit older, and she has two ADHD sons. And she's married to an autistic gentleman. This makes for a very interesting conversation. We are so excited for you to enjoy, Jackie. Have a listen.
So I think I've known for a while something's not like everybody else, in inverted commas. And it was very interesting because I'd had so many challenges, emotional, physical, and I don't know. I want to say that I knew that something was not meant to be the way that it is. And anyway, so it was very interesting because some of the problems that I've been having, like, the brain fog, memory problems that have been there since forever, struggling to focus, that type of thing. It was all attributed to other things. And it was very frustrating because nobody could really figure it out. And I knew within me that there was a reason for this. It wasn't just because, you have fibromyalgia, like they were saying, or you've got, I had IBS, fibromyalgia, all of the things that I've been, diagnosed with or told that I've been struggling with. And I displayed those symptoms, but it was more than that. And, and I'd gone through my whole life being told, my parents would say, "You're such a drama queen. You're such a hypochondriac." And then you wouldn't discuss those things anymore, but you'd know inside something's different to everybody else. Anyway, so after having had significant challenges at work, specifically after I'd had some very difficult emotional times in my life, after my mom passed away, after my dad passed away very suddenly, all of those things, it was so much more pronounced, and I really struggled to get out of it. And it was like my mind knew that I can move forward and I'm strong, but my body and my brain, I kind of think of my mind and my brain as two different things, but my body couldn't. I was so fatigued all of the time that there was a stage where I needed to take 3 naps a day, or I couldn't focus. I would want to fall over. I'd sit and look at things and just go, I can't actually deal with all of this. This is too much. And it wasn't too much. I would look at my life and kind of go, I've got this great life, but I'm feeling so terribly, terribly down, having such dark feelings. And I knew that wasn't right. And funnily enough, even though I'd been going to see professionals to help me because it was very severe, it needed professional help. One time I was busy watching something on Instagram, and out of the blue, it came onto my feed where a woman was saying a couple of things that were physical symptoms that I experienced myself. And I think it was something to do with brain fog, but it was also a little bit of IBS, and busy talking about some of the physical characteristics behind having lax joints, things like that. And then also feeling like I can take on the world, but then being overwhelmed and needing to curl into a ball and like close the curtains and everything must be silent. But I still feel like I need to take on the world. And she was talking about this, and I'm busy going, me too. This is exactly.
That's me.
Yes, exactly. And she'd been talking about how doctors had not known about this for years and years, and it's only come to light very, very recently. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. And then, true to form, I forgot about it.
Oh, that's one diagnosis in itself. The fact that you forgot about it.
Exactly. Yeah. But I mean, the thing is about Instagram is obviously the way that they read your feed is you watch a program or you watch a reel to the end, and then it shows you more of that kind of thing. So obviously now more of this was popping up on my feed, and I'm busy going, what? Are you kidding me right now? I don't have ADHD. That's stupid. But the more that I listened to what the actual symptoms were, I'm busy going, I think I got me all of those actually. and it, I kind of went into it a little bit more, but very apprehensive, because remember, the history is I'm a hypochondriac. Now, this is just another thing that I'm now diagnosing myself with. But it was just very loud in my head. And the more that I looked at this, the more I was kind of going, I think I might. But it was a situation with my boss. And again, bearing in mind, my mom had just passed away, and I was in that like hectic funk where I just couldn't function quickly enough. And my boss was just saying to me, like, what is going on? And I said to her, I think I have ADHD. And she's the most wonderful woman, and I just have so much respect for her. I love her so much. She threw her head back and said, Jackie, yes, of course you have ADHD.
We all knew.
What's she telling me? But from the party, confidence that somebody that I respect and trust had kind of said, yeah, I mean, did you not know this?
With no shame as well. Just like, oh yeah, you have it, and that's cool.
None whatsoever. Yeah. Because, I mean, she has children as well that are on the autism spectrum. So she's so educated about neurodiversity as it is, and it just made me feel so comfortable. And I was just like, okay, wait, maybe I can do this. And I said to her, you know what? I'm gonna go to the doctor, and I'm gonna go check, and my path was, originally to the GP, because I was at a stage where I wasn't coping at all. And I was like, right, we need to look into this. And so I was then also just referred to a psychiatrist who'd, done an assessment and helped me just to get on some meds so that I could start coping, because I was so deep in
an immediate solution. Yeah.
I needed something right then and there to help me to get to a point where I could apply some of the executive functioning skills that I'd been learning and had started learning. So it was, but it's been life-changing, absolutely life-changing to have the diagnosis. It's just explaining.
Let's just talk about timeline. Was that, when did all of this happen?
So that was December of 2022.
That's brand new.
We're 9 months old.
How cute. That's when the babies become cute, 9 months.
Yeah, exactly. The ADHD started smiling now.
Oh, I'm so happy. So, and I want to highlight something and ask if you agree with it, that perhaps growing up, you developed a lot of masking skills to like kind of hush it or misdiagnose it or misunderstood what it was. And then when mom and dad passed away, unfortunately, your masking, like I explained it to another client the other day, that it's like if we have a masking tank that's always kind of full, when there's a lot of things happening, we feel very stressed. We burn through that fuel quicker than we usually do. And when that tank is empty, we have no more emotional fuel left. Then the masking is out the window, and then our sensory input is so high, and we have no fuel to control our inputs and how we respond to it. So do you think that's kind of what happened when you were in the...
Definitely. I think, look, I mean, growing up, I mean, you're not presenting the typical little boy running around. That wasn't me. I was a sedentary little girl who liked to color in, and I was, I mean, my mom used to refer to me as her perfect little child, because I was such a good little girl, and but I was people pleasing.
And now, what was the imagination like?
Oh, wild! All over the show.
Good.
But it was interesting because there were sleep issues and not as a baby, but sleep issues as a kid, and
sleep issues meaning not able to fall asleep or not wanting to sleep alone. Oh, both.
Both, and then also
Okay.
night terrors.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but I still
It's
have
that
them.
imagination. It's the imagination that can't switch off. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I think as a kid, nobody would have picked it up, and I didn't feel different as a kid. I felt special. I felt like, I think I worked really hard to kind of do what maybe took other kids it was a little bit easier for other kids, because really the memory wasn't there. But I developed skills quite quickly because I would look at them as in a problem solving kind of light, which I'd learned from my parents, who I think now, now I realize, look, mom for sure, definitely was ADHD, like definitely, definitely, definitely. And some of the things that she struggled with were attributed to that. And it makes my heart so sore for her because she died. I mean, she died just like a year before before I realized what was going on.
Oh, right on the cusp of getting the skills. Oh, man.
If she'd just
I'm
known,
sorry.
I think her life could have just been so different and so much happier. So I'm sad and also angry,
Yeah, I get that.
that she didn't get the help that I'm getting, to understand myself. Because I mean, I think also her generation was a lot more like, this is the box that we fit in. You don't deviate, and so it's yeah. But having said that, I also think, I can definitely see specific timelines in my life when the ADHD symptoms were triggered, because it was definitely by an event.
A stressful event?
It was parents' divorce at 18, our daughter passing away,
Oh,
parents passing away. It's those
very stressful.
big things.
Yeah.
And then also, like, then you get diagnosed with depression and anxiety because, that's normal when you go through those things. But it's not so normal to be on medication for it and to still feel the way that you feel, and to be doing all the right things and it's still not better. There's no reprieve for you. You feel like you belong in a like blooming loony bin, and then wait, suddenly, you realize, oh, but that's something that goes with the ADHD. That's why the reason it's there is because I'm feeling like I'm not like everybody else. I'm feeling like, um, not as good as everybody, very hard on myself, very sensitive to other people's criticism, all of that. And I'm like, oh, that's where it comes from. And just that understanding shifted things so dramatically that, I mean, I can't, it's just, I can't believe the difference that it's made.
Yeah, it's like a raise that weight off of you of the expectation. No, I get that 100%. I want to unpack a little bit on the misdiagnoses that you've experienced. Before we ask it, I'm going to give a little background to it in a sense that if we know our brain is ADHD and we know that it's overproducing certain neural pathways, and that's why we overproduce thoughts and imagination, and is the reason why then any biological response is also a little bit overproduced. That's how we get the spinal fluid overlay in our shoulders and a tightness and IBS and these patterns of medical diagnosis that is so common to ADHD, but then get formally diagnosed as if you have PODS or something, which is actually just ADHD. Like, pull the weed by the root, not the leaves, man. So let's talk about your leaves, your misdiagnoses, your many.
Yeah. But I mean, it's been through some hectic ones to try and figure it out, to be told by so many doctors, I don't know, the one time I was feeling very dizzy and lightheaded a lot, nauseous a lot.
What's it called now?
Vertigo.
Vertigo. Was it like vertigo kind of?
Very bad. Very bad.
That sucks.
They were doing blood panels for different types of cancers. you know.
Oh, wow, that's scary.
It
Oh,
was.
then you have a blood pressure problem because you're stressing me out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, it was. I mean, but that was just testing for it. But it just goes to show they really didn't know. So I mean, I had so the tests that I did specifically to start off with things were I went to an immunologist to try and help me find out why was I struggling to hold on to a pregnancy? Why was I struggling to fall pregnant? So leaky gut, IBS, lactose intolerance, gluten intolerance, and then how that caused brain fog. I went for a year where I didn't eat anything that had wheat, meat, dairy, or sugar.
So what did you eat?
Practically nothing. I used to
Water.
stand in my kitchen and cry because I thought if I have to eat another avocado, I'm going to scream. So it was like some fruits, but very few. And then the green leafy vegetables, which I loathe because the texture is so gross and dry.
That's why I
And
don't like avo.
I love
It's too.
avo, but I mean, you can only eat so much of it. And also on what? What do you eat?
Oh, you can't have it on
on?
toast. No, I don't eat avo, Jackie. I don't like avo.
That would suck for
But
you.
I know toast is what you want the answer to be. Toast.
But then you develop other allergies. So then I started developing an allergy to certain kinds of nuts because I was drinking nut milks and things like that. So
Oh my
suddenly
goodness.
I start getting like short of breath when I
Like an
can't
asthma.
No, like anaphylactic shock when I have almond milk now suddenly.
Oh my
Things
goodness.
like that. It's just ridiculous.
You've been through the rigmarole, bro.
Now listen, we did lots of testing. We did lots of things to try and figure it out. And the thing is, I could never lose the weight. I did lose some, but not like I should have, for the amount of stuff that I wasn't eating and was eating. I mean, I've been through, I'm almost a nutritionist at this point. I know what needs to be done. My husband is actually certified in health and fitness and nutrition. So I'm not saying that lightly. I'm saying that truly. So, and then, got PCOS, which, yes, okay, I've got PCOS, but now we know that's also something that can accompany this type of situation. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, the pain, the muscle pain. That was that. I had a vitamin D and B deficiency that was so severe that my doctor said to me, it's actually so severe that it's your brain is starting to shut down. So, and I was like, well, I don't know what to do about this, and I would take vitamin B shots every week, and it took forever for it to actually do something. So
The shots.
Yeah. So I had to find like very specific supplements that were absorbed into this leaky gut of mine that worked, because you can't just take any type. It doesn't work. You've got to find what works for you, and you can feel it, and you become so attuned to your own body that you know what's going on in your body, and you learn to trust it. And you've got this like, I think also because I feel everything. I'm just hypersensitive to all the sounds and the sights and the smells and the feelings inside the body. That
You're ADHD, Jackie?
Yeah, not a freak of nature.
No.
ADHD. That's
No, just ADHD. Yeah.
So I think
you
all
know.
of that, and also, even being, having a breakdown. I just couldn't after my dad died.
I can imagine.
I had a breakdown. I had a 6-month-old baby, and my father very suddenly and completely out of the blue, he killed himself. And
I'm sorry.
I had a business, with him. My brother was so badly affected. Lots of family was affected by it, but I just wasn't coping after that, and I couldn't put one foot in front of the other. I would sometimes kind of go, "How did I even get here? Like to this room?"
An autopilot in a way.
Completely.
Yeah.
Completely.
Sorry.
So yeah, So that's why I say I can definitely pin it to certain events more than I can to a diagnosis. So for me, I don't have fibromyalgia. It's it's something different within me that's a result of,
Yeah, a
ADHD.
response.
Yes.
Yeah. And your joints as well.
So much.
Literally. I was at 30 misdiagnosed, 29, misdiagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis because my mother has it. I'm like, this isn't even hereditary. But then, like you say with the events, when I think back, when it's paining is when I'm stressed and when there's inflammation in my body, and I'm like, this is not rheumatoid arthritis, this is stress, bro. Or maybe I was sitting skew in the chair, but I mean, it's more the joint flexibility than the
100%. So for me, that joint flexibility, I kind of, when I first read about this, I thought to myself, oh, wait, where's my light bulb? There. Ding!
yes.
Because
Yes, you got it. Perfect.
I'm on point.
Yeah.
So when I first read about this, I thought to myself, interesting, because I had a car accident when I was 16, and I kind of got hit by a car. And so my
On
leg was pretty
purpose.
badly broken. But funnily enough, what the nurses were freaking out about was the fact that when I was lying down in the bed, my feet, instead of being kind of like up like this, like when you lie down, they were like that. And
Oh,
they're like, oh,
in line with your
drop
legs.
foot, and da 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 da. And that's where they said, that's where I found out it's actually not. I've got
Not, what did you say? They thought it was drop foot.
drop foot.
And it
So
wasn't.
it wasn't. It was that I had hypermobile joints. And then 2 years later, my brother had an accident and broke his leg. And the nurses were concerned about drop foot in him. And I said, can this possibly be something that we share? Because both of us have very flexible ankles.
And don't you share a diagnosis with your brother as well?
Yeah, so shame. I obviously it's very familial, and I can see that as well, in my children. So there are definitely things that I can see in my kids that I now recognize as ADHD. And I'm so grateful, because I don't want my kids to go through what I went through. But they're both different. They're different in those ways. And it's been really nice to actually talk to my kids about how they learn and what they prefer. Because my one child loves drawing rainbows, but the other has always hated color.
I see. Okay.
Did not
But you
like
know the spectrum, the like this huge pendulum of degrees of okay, so the one's like loves all the colors, the other like, oh no color.
No, exactly. The one is completely like emotionally so mature, and the other one is, this like bull in a china shop kind of person. And it's been quite wild, because it's, they're loud, which is triggering for this mom, because their ADHD comes out verbally, and mine needs
Is sitting in the room
silence.
in fetal position.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah, no.
And the best thing that I could ever have gotten for myself in my life is noise cancelling earphones.
Oh,
Ever
I'm
in
so
my life.
happy.
It's
Oh,
it's
mommy
life.
loves you, but goodbye.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, I'm happy for you in the sense that you can write their journeys in a way that you can equip them and you can be there to guide them and give them the correct, fulfilling dialogue of these are your needs, you're not a hypochondriac, these are like fix those things, and then in so doing you're also helping to pack it away inside of yourself, like that's okay that I did that, and it's a healing process in that also.
It is. And I think what it does is it helps me to forgive a little bit. You forgive your parents for kind of saying that you're a drama queen, even if they said it in jest and in love, because they were wonderful, loving parents. But it really hurts, and that became a name that I called myself. And I never wanted that for my children. But what's freeing is knowing, okay, but there was something behind this that they didn't know about. And I know more than they knew. But I mean, in 20 years, my kids are going to know a lot more than what I know now. And I'm counting on it, I want them to be armed and really embrace it. And I want them to feel like this is me. And I'm proud of that, because I never had that. I never had that I'm proud of me kind of moment. And I wanted them to feel valued in this world. And it helps me to be able to look and go, okay, but, just because I, found it easy to study with spider diagrams, for instance, doesn't mean that my eldest feels that way. It freaks him out that there's color everywhere. It looks
I can
messy.
imagine. And it's all over the place. There's no order. I get that.
100%.
I get that. Yeah, but you can say, I can celebrate your brain's way, your diversity of thinking.
Yeah.
Let's talk about hubby.
Yeah, so...
I still can't pronounce his name, but we don't need to say his name, but that's just that. We'll just back that on the side. So, yes, let's talk about love with hubby and what that's like.
So, me being on this side of the neurodiversity spectrum and also loving surprises and doing new things, but craving some kind of schedule, but not actually wanting to be the one who sets the schedule, but also never being told what to do, because that doesn't work for me either. We realized that my hubby has also touches the autism spectrum. And so that presents in itself a whole different set of challenges, because we both have needs that are very conflicting.
Opposite. Yes. Do you know that book, The 4 Love Languages?
Yeah.
I think they need to rewrite that book. And 5. Sorry.
Yeah.
They have to rewrite that, like the 27,000 love languages of neurodiversity.
Then we wouldn't read it because it's overwhelming. They have to stick to 5.
Maybe that's why I was like, no, it's 4. Let's just keep it at 4.
Yeah,
so let's talk about how if he is on the spectrum or on the cusp of it, what did flirting look like, and how did you guys even get together then?
So lame. Oh my gosh. It was so lame.
Why? Don't I have to explain, bro?
So I think that that Heavenly Father just put us together, because quite frankly, the way we got together shouldn't have happened. I mean,
it's not a rom-com.
We met at a church function for young single adults. And so he was from Cape Town and I was from Joburg, and I met him, and a mutual friend of ours kind of set us up by telling him that I liked him and telling me that he liked me.
Oh, he pulled the old switcheroo on you.
I mean, really, so corny.
But you fell for it, Jackie.
We both did, luckily. But our first interaction was her introducing us to one another at a dance, and he shook my hand hello, and then turned around and walked away. And then we later spoke a bit. Obviously, I spoke way too much.
And he was just like, too much.
And then, but he decided...
I'm surprised he shook your hand though, Jackie.
Yeah, but we don't touch. The hugging thing is too much.
Yeah, but I'm surprised he even shook your hand. He could have just been like, what's up? And then that's enough. So that's how he actually showed you affection. It's like, let me touch you.
It's so formal. Hello. Oh my goodness.
And then when you spoke later on, then it was just like, when it gets awkward when the other person's not talking, and then you're like, I'm awkward, you're not talking, and then you start speaking more, and then you start feeling more awkward that you're talking too much, and you're like, okay, I'm just
sounds about right.
Yeah.
Sounds about right. And then he'd also just come off of he was a missionary for our church for 2 years. And there are some very kind of strict rules that you obey on mission. And one of them is going to bed pretty early. And so he was still in this routine, not like early, like don't be not ridiculous, but by 10 o'clock he was wiped out.
Okay, and, me too, but I'm not a missionary, but me too.
But I'm a night owl, so this is like I'm in my happy place at night, you know.
Okay,
Now
okay.
realizing it's probably because there's not an overstimulation with too much light and sound.
Yes, and the cars are quiet and the children are tucked in and
Yep. And so anyway, so he kind of walks off and he just goes, I'm tired now, I'm going to go to bed. I'm like, well, that went horribly. But the next day, he goes around asking for my phone number, but there were like 11 of us in the circle. He asked every single girl and guy in the circle for their phone number, gets around to me eventually, and I'm thinking, I'm giving you a different number, buddy. I'm not going to give you the right number. And you know, as luck would have it, as you're busy, giving off your phone number, I accidentally said the correct number, and I was so cross with myself. I was
stop
like,
lying, Jackie. Just
no,
own
I
up
meant
to
to
it.
change the last one. Don't do that.
Then you're
I
like,
meant to change the last number, and then I was, okay.
No, you see, mid-plan, you forgot about the plan.
Probably.
And you're like, what are we doing again?
That's right.
Yeah. And then did he give you a call?
Yeah, it took him a little bit. He actually took 2 weeks of messaging. 2 weeks until eventually I challenged him and said, well, are you going to ever phone me?
Well, what did he message you on?
Oh, but I mean, we're old now. We married nearly 20 years.
No,
so
on what platform did you message?
SMS.
Bro.
I told you I'm old.
I thought you were going to say mix it. Now you just upped it to SMS.
I never did mix it, but it was SMSing. And then remember when the phone it gets full so quickly, you have to delete the messages. So,
yeah, you had like characters, you charged per character.
Exactly. So we would write our messages down in little books before we would delete them so that we had a record.
Oh, cute. That's sweet.
But then when we spoke, I mean, he was the talker. And we would speak on the phone for an average of between 6 and 8 hours a night.
Whoa. I thought you were going to say minutes. No. Whoa, that is long.
I think we just connected on a level that was, it was a very deep level. It was, it was spiritual as well. It was, connecting on an emotional level because, we were far away from each other. And I think that's what was good about it is we kind of didn't get to see that weirdness about each other. The awkwardness or the talkativeness wasn't so bad,
That may have been why you connected because the two of you thought differently from the average Joe. So,
absolutely. Yeah. So it wasn't like hyper romantic, but it was us. It was right for us,
Yeah. No, I think it's perfect. I think it's perfect the way it is.
Yeah.
Tell me about what's it like now, though. Like in terms of because we're not SMSing anymore.
No, we're not. But, I think we have to work really hard to make sure that we are, I think any married couple has to work hard anyway, but we have learned that, marriage is not something that works out or it doesn't. Marriage is something you put the effort in, and when you stop, it will fall to pieces because or it could fall to pieces because, in amongst all the things that happen in life when you're grown-ups and you go through trauma and you've got hard situations, we deal with them very differently. So, for instance, I need to talk in order to get it out and to process it. I verbally process my emotions, whereas he specifically needs not to. He needs to very much black it out and not pay attention. Which may seem like a guy thing, but it's far more than that. It is a completely different way of looking at it. So, losing a child, we actually couldn't be a support to one another.
I can imagine that, yeah.
We could not be. And so we had to find different ways of helping ourselves, but I think respecting one another's need not to or to speak about it to each other as much. So, we would, we sought counseling and eventually I would continue with it and he wouldn't and just needed to respect that we were different in that way and that there is no one right way. And I think that's been the golden thread through all of it is that there are many right ways to do things. There are many right ways to think. And, we need to accept one another. And for my husband, he really dislikes change. And he copes with it much better than I do, funnily enough, though. Yeah.
That doesn't even make sense.
Well, the kicking against it, not wanting to make the change, but then completely coping with it when it actually
So
does
like,
happen.
fine, I'll
I'm
just
the one
deal
pushing
with
for
it.
change, but I'm falling apart.
But it's because of your sensory overwhelm that you get. So you dopamine seeking for the change and the change up and the spontaneity. I'm so proud of myself for saying that word right. I thought I was gonna mess it up. And then you like seeking the dopamine, but then when it comes with a sensory input that you didn't calculate for, and then like regretting. So with that, like a sensory overload is constant throughout the plan of change, where the autistic side of it is, okay, I deal with the change, I adjust, okay, and I accept the change, and then I can ride the wave. But the wave is too much for you. Yeah.
100%. But what I really treasure most about this, because there are so many challenges with the differences in the way that we think. It can be very overwhelming, where one person is a romantic who fantasizes about all the amazing places we could go and be and things we could do together, and he's just like, I just want to do the same thing every day, and that's my comfort zone. And I'm like, oh, but
do we have to?
Yeah, but what I value is the fact that he is stable, that he
wants to do it with you,
that he wants to do it with me, that I'm his person. So, like, you can find that primary person. I'm that primary person, and I need that. But
made it.
So, for instance, where I'm getting overwhelmed, and I'm not like, I don't cook every single night, and I don't follow a strict routine because it makes me want to cry just thinking about it. He will come to me and he'll see that I'm a bit overwhelmed, and he'll come and make me eggs on toast with some bacon and some avocado and whatever, and he feeds me.
So you're still eating ever then?
I totally eat ever. I got over being over it.
Yeah. Ach man, that's beautiful. I'm very happy for you.
So he stabilizes me in that way. But I think, I've also helped him to really come out of his shell, like, a lot. It's been difficult.
It's a work in progress.
I wouldn't recommend the combination.
And I do understand why you say that.
Well, you said to me they're two almost opposite.
Yes, it's you're knocking, but I think like sometimes that is, in your case, the chemistry that's being created, the friction that you have, because it's a push and pull, and you guys have found, but with a lot of work, found that good balance where the push and pull happens as a rhythmic pattern that's happening between the two, which is a constant, like a plant that needs to carry on being watered, a constant thing, but you found it and hold on to it tightly.
Yeah.
I'd say. Tell me about average Saturday with your family of neurodivergents. Just a normal Saturday. An average Saturday.
There is no average. There literally is no average. My kids, I love them so much.
Where are we going with this? Where are we going?
Not sleep.
Oh, I see.
So, I mean, I have an 11-year-old and a 6-year-old, and my 11-year-old is the night owl, and my 6-year-old is the early morning person. And he also doesn't sleep well. He has he's very restless. So he still comes to my bed every single night, and it's broken sleep every single night, and a husband who snores. So every single night I'm awake easily 15 times. Quick, it's quick breaks, but it's a disturbance that I didn't realize affected me as much as it did until I went to Durban 2 weeks ago, and I had 3 nights of uninterrupted sleep.
And you felt rejuvenated.
Well, that's what our ADHD brain needs, right? It needs sleep. So it's a little bit challenging. But anyway, so Saturdays we're getting to that stage now with our little 6-year-old where he's actually keeping himself busier for longer, which is wonderful. And so if we can, I'll sleep in, my husband won't. He'll get up and he'll start doing things. At this stage of his life, he's working ridiculously hard. He's an architect, and he's designing beautiful homes for people. He's also, completing some more studies. So he's literally busy 7 days a week, 25 hours a day. I mean, he was up until 5 o'clock this morning working, and he woke up at 7. So to be in time.
How, you see, this is the thing about the autistic brain that I don't get. How do they function without sleep? I don't get it.
Yeah.
Either they can function on minimal sleep, or they need to sleep and they can't function.
Grumpy.
Are they all grumpy?
No, he's a bit grumpy, but it's fine.
Maybe it's part of his personality.
No, you know what? Hey, I don't know. He's got resilience that I admire, and also that's his schedule. Like, he knows his body, and he doesn't do sleep before, on a very good night, 11 o'clock. Mostly it's after midnight.
That he goes to bed.
Yeah. But so on Saturdays he gets up and he does, he's constantly kind of on the go. The kids will be crying for their devices, and I'm the one busy going, nope, we're going to get all of these things done first, and we need physical activity, and we need to play with the dog, and play with each other, and we need to do all these things that we can tick off. We say our prayers, we do our things, and then you can go onto devices for a while. And I think most of my Saturday, honestly, is if I'm out and about, I'm happy. I like to be involved with people, whether it's with friends or with church stuff or whatever the case is. I enjoy that. So lately, I've been quite busy with that. And then the boys kind of do their own thing, and my husband he'll do his own thing and then let the kids just be on the devices, because it's, but I can see the change in them when they are. So I don't like that. I don't enjoy it. So it's basically Saturdays on me trying to get them off devices so that I feel like I'm not a terrible mom. And then failing.
Yeah, and then feeling bad about it. And then
Saturdays are a massive sensory overload, especially if we go to the shops. We know I can't go into places like, where they've got high lux levels, things like places like Macro and Game. I can't. My husband has to do that by himself. We certainly will not be doing that with both our children, because they get overstimulated there. It's loud. They play loud music. Lots of light.
And your husband doesn't get overstimulated from it?
No.
So the sensory thing's not that much for him?
No. So he doesn't enjoy it. He feels frustrated by it, but it doesn't affect him like it affects us. So he's kind of biting the bullet a little bit for the rest of us. My kids are too young still to know that that's what's happening, but you can see they're getting more and more and more agitated and wild, as they're trying to...
And barky. And moany.
Yeah. So, that's what I'm saying. Like Saturdays, we try and keep it calm, but honestly, those are my highest stimulation days. Sunday we'll go to church, we'll be peopling, they know what's coming, it's calm. And it's, and then it's maybe family or friends afterwards, which, as much as it feeds me, it also drains me.
Yes. They want to take a nap afterwards. Like, that was a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly. But I love it. But
yeah, in the moment, Jackie.
Shattered.
In the moment, it's like and then you go back, you're like, I got in a habit of like starting to nap in the car already, because I just like the moment I get in the car, I'm like, that was a lot. Yeah, but then, what do you do to relax, Jackie?
Sleep.
All right. And then have night terrors.
Yes. So I've kind of realized if I am going to have a sleep, it must be something that's an hour or less. Otherwise, I feel gross and then don't sleep. I also can't sleep after 3 p.m. But if I sleep too long in the night, so if it's a Saturday where my husband kind of, I don't know, when the stars all align and my husband gets me, and the kids let me, and I sleep in, let's say, until 10, my
Okay.
body is broken.
Paining.
Why not? It is so painful. I can't even
Yeah.
move. So so I can't do that either. So my favorite thing is to just have a little sneaky nap in the sun on a warm bed,
Okay.
preferably with a cat on my chest purring. Then I'm happy.
Okay. That's very very distinct criteria for the relaxation. So I don't assume you do it often.
Well, no. No. As much as
Goodness.
I don't.
What was I going to say now? I can't remember, Jackie. It's gone. It's out of my brain. I can't. This is what I was going to say. I heard that in Korea, people can pay to be put into jail, quote unquote, put into jail. Where you pay and then go into this little motel and they feed you 3 meals, but they take away all your devices.
I would do it.
And she's like, the person that told me about it is one of my clients, said, this sounds like torture. And I was like, this sounds like a dream. Actually, like, I would pay big money to do something like, to be locked in a room by myself with no device. Wow, that sounds amazing. I mean, like with a book.
A book,
like, if you just give me the Bible and another book, I'll be happy. 3 days. I'll give my left leg.
Oh, listen, I would get bored. So I think my fantasy, and this is the thing that, and I no longer feel bad for saying this, because it feels like, you look at the Mary Poppins moms, I want to call them that, and the Pinterest moms who are like, oh, I kept my children home from school today because I just missed them so much. I'm like, what?
I'm a little bit
I feel like we just need to spend more time together, and so I just kept them home from school today, and I was like, oh, you're amazing. Why am I not like that? Why don't I do that? And
that's kind of me.
But the reality is that I love my children to death. I don't think you'll find another mother who loves their children more. But I probably think you might not find another mother who's overstimulated by their children. It's an age thing. It's my sensory profile, and it's not them or their personality. It's just they're loud.
It's not me. It's you.
It's perfectly age appropriate. But I mean, it's the same for my husband. Like, okay, so remember now, I'm his person. So every half an hour, I get to be his person where he comes to talk to me about the next thing, and I'm in the middle of something that now I get distracted, and I'm like, I need 4 hours of uninterrupted time to do what I'm doing here and get into a routine, but none of my people can.
Or respecting you.
No, exactly.
I must be honest, like, I think it's because of the age. Wait, maybe it might be because of when you were diagnosed. In the family, I had to do a little bit of a shift. Before my offspring landed, I already knew. So I was training them from the get-go. Mommy only takes so much. Like,
exactly.
So they have a little bit of a volume on them. And I always they know that means tone it down a little bit. My one son doesn't care about the but he knows what it means. So if I lock eyes with him and hey, then they know, bring it down. So I see like how the training is important, because then if like today, actually it happened today, I was getting upset about something else. We had contractors or something that was not doing what I have a no-shoe policy in my home, and homies were walking in my house with shoes on after they were told not to do it. And I come home to a sandpit of a house and I'm like, and I start like hyperventilating, and my daughter says, "You're getting overwhelmed, mommy, just calm down." It just starts rubbing me. I'm like, what's actually happening? And it's just reversing the things that I normally do to you. But you see, like, how their training like gets into their dialogue, so then they understand mommy's getting sensory overload now, homies. Calm down. And they get it.
What a gift to your children. because they're not taking it personally, first of all, which I did as a child. They're not taking it personally. They're learning that everybody has limits, which, I mean, everybody needs to understand the word no for various reasons.
Yeah, like just time out.
Yeah, 100%. And that they can then feel comfortable asking for a timeout and feel comfortable saying no.
Yeah, because now my twins overwhelm my 7-year-old, and she says to them, "You guys are giving me sensory overload now. Please keep quiet." And I think it's hilarious, but they do have the dialogue that they need to say, like, okay, these are my needs. But with husband, how does asking for your needs, especially working virtually? You work virtually, right?
Yeah, we both do.
Does he does too. Me and my husband too. Me and my husband as well. Like sometimes I'm in an appointment, like a virtual appointment with my client, then he just comes into my office and I look up and then he just stands there.
Yep.
What is this? Then he mouths at me, "I miss you." I'm in an appointment. But it's just like, "I miss you." Okay. I must tell my, just hold on quickly. "Okay, I miss you too. Go inside, please." So how do you handle the not just husband dynamic of him being around, but what is virtual life like for you motivation wise?
So first off, I have to say that I think that it became something I absolutely needed to work from home because of the flexibility, but also because I'm a workaholic. I will give all the free time that I have. I struggle with balance, so I give and I give and I give and I give, and then I have a little burnout.
Yeah, that's the problem.
So I've been working from home now, going on 11 years.
What? That's before working from home was in fashion, bro.
Exactly.
Yes, trend says a girlfriend.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think there needs to be support groups for people because genuinely, you know, it's figuring out that dynamic of we don't speak to people during the week. We need to actually schedule that. Have your space be a space that is working only, and make sure that for me, I can't.
Yes, that is so true. That's so true.
If it's not organized, I mean, today, for instance, I was completely overwhelmed. I had 3 million things. I probably am not far wrong that it literally was in the millions. But I had to organize my 3 drawers that are here because I realized I can't even find the pen that I need to write with. And it got to me to such a point that I was like, that's it. I cannot do this right now. I have to reorganize all of this stuff. And that's what I did for probably an hour. And it made all the difference. But so I think the space that you work in has to be the right type of space. For me, certainly it does. And that for me, it means that it needs to be pretty because I simply don't work well in a space that I don't enjoy being in. So, and then also, so the distractions, ringing phones, that kind of thing, I've never really coped well with anyway. So I don't have that. And
good. So you can control the amount of noise.
So yes, until the kids come home.
Okay.
And so for me, I think where it becomes challenging is that once the kids are home, to say no, to mean it, to not feel like I am attacking their character when I say to them, "You may not come in here now," because I'm so sensitive. That's the way I read it when I was a kid. If you come in here now, you're going to get in trouble. That meant they didn't want me. That's not
rejection.
Exactly. So my children are not like that, and I took me a very long time to realize that. But for me to say it in a way that I felt good about and that made them feel decent about themselves, but understand the boundary, I think that's where that limitation came in. And it's only once I actually just got this diagnosis that I could say it with conviction because that is what I needed. And now I knew I needed it. There was nothing wrong with me needing that. And it didn't make me a bad mom. And then also with my husband, sometimes we have meetings at the same time. I can't deal. He can talk
because you can hear him.
I can't deal with it. So in go the noise cancelling earphones. I'm very fortunate. The team that I work with at the moment, they understand these things. We've like littered with a bunch of neurodiverse people, so we've all got our little things that we like and don't like. So I find a very accepting kind of tribe when it comes to that. But I have to be very diligent about making sure that I don't squirrel off into one direction because I'm in my own house. The easiest thing in the world, for instance, today while I was unpacking my drawers, would be to say, these pens, there are too many of them. I only need 3, okay? And then put the pens on my bed in a space for where the stationery is going to go, not take it to the stationery cupboard where I'm going to squirrel and find something else that I've got to tidy up there.
Actually, this cupboard needs to be redone.
Exactly.
Ooh, maybe I should go to Mamba's to buy a new basket.
Exactly. And while you're there, you're just going to quickly get the groceries. And while you're getting the groceries, you realize now you're panicking because you're not working. And, no. So we've got to be very specific about how we do this. You don't leave that room. I leave my piles as they are. I allocate piles per room. I'm not allowed to leave this room until it's all out and all in their piles, and then I will take the stuff to the room when I go that way.
When you're reading. How long did it take you to set those boundaries for yourself?
I think I'm still learning.
Let's say still learning from February.
I can't say, initially I set the boundaries for myself, but a lot of it was self-loathing. And self-depreciating. Like, why do you find it so difficult to just like work in a block, but what I realized is what I need is a visual reminder of these things. But it had to be pretty, remember? So it couldn't be a handwritten thing because my handwriting is not completely the same all the time. So I had to print it out. And I would print out things like, checklists of things to do. And I had great joy from checking things off a list. Then I was like, okay, now
dopamine hits.
I'm done. We've got this going on now, so that made me feel good about myself. I think realizing that I needed to maintain a schedule that was not me at 120% power every day, because then I would crash and have 3 days where my body gave in. I think I've only now just started realizing that about myself. And it's all because I pushed myself so hard to be something that I wasn't. I was masking so hard to be the Mary Poppins version of an employee, or the Pinterest mom and the Pinterest wife, the separate wife, or, whatever the case is. I wanted to be the best at everything. And it burnt me out. So I had to take a step back. And then I think, honestly, with the diagnosis, realized this doesn't make me less. There are things that are good about this, but now I get to set a boundary. And that for me was
massive.
It was huge.
So I'm so proud of you.
For me to say, no, I'm not taking calls before 12 o'clock because my brain needs to be busy with desk work by that time. After 12, I need to not be at the desk because I need a break from that, So now I'm learning. I'm learning more about myself now than I ever did because I was so busy trying to be somebody I wasn't.
Yeah. And now you're like, actually, I'm just butterflying into who I'm supposed to be.
I hope so. I guess
and it's beautiful. Well, do you know what I think? When your boys are older, they're going to look back on what you're giving them and be like, oh my goodness, this is massive. And they're not going to have that sad feeling you feel about their mum. They're going to say, oh my word, this is amazing what mama did for us.
You know what? I really do hope that. But at the end of the day, I think I realize that I should probably save for, counseling for them for later because everybody gets somehow damaged by their parents. Everybody has baggage.
I mean,
and you know what? I think
that's what gives the life lessons, Jackie. Don't drop your children off life lessons.
They need to be resilient too. And I think that's a real it's a real step forward for me because I didn't want any of that for them. And now I've kind of realized that it has to be that way, and it's all done in love. All of our mistakes are made in love, and therefore they're okay. And
It's well-meaning.
yeah,
No.
exactly.
No, but and I'm very happy to hear that your dialogue is less, my word, your hypochondriac, is less like judgy, even to yourself. Like, this is my needs, these are my boundaries, and that's cool. And that's amazing, actually. And that positivity is, I think that's when you're winning as neurodivergent, when you no longer gaslight yourself and you're like, this is cool that I have these needs, and that's amazing. And I'm very happy for you. And I'm excited. I want to check in with you in another year or so that you can give us more and these is the things that I think you should do, because you've got some solid gold there already. And you're only a 9-month-old baby. Imagine when you were a toddler running around. Do you know?
But that it is the truth, though, and I feel like, with people like yourself helping people to understand that this is the way we work, it's really accelerated the way that I've learned about myself. It literally is it feels like a rebirth, because I've been released from so much expectation, and so much worry and stress, and it's a massive relief, and it's made all the difference in the world to my mental and my physical health, and also I believe once you're educated, you don't have to fear.
Yes.
As long as I know I'm doing everything that I can, then I feel like I've got that little bit of control. But also, you rather want the devil you know than the devil you don't, because that one is wild. That's scary.
I don't know what exactly you mean by that, but I'm going to go with it. What do you mean, Jackie?
Look at your whole life. I haven't changed. Nothing in me has changed. It's how I see it. Now I know, this is why it's like this. So it's the devil that I now know, but now I can work with that. I can work with something I understand.
Yeah. And I got this. You got the cheat codes now for the game you're playing. So now you can smash that game. Get the high score. Clock it.
I think it's more like I finally found some study material. But
are you able to study it effectively with your spider webs and colors?
I think it served me well. I did very, very well. But the retention of that information is 0.
So say all of us.
I studied well for a test, but I didn't study well to learn. When I learn by doing. So my assignments, those are what I learned the most from. Tests and exams, I was just applying a technique to whip them.
Yeah, no, for real. It's always like that. Like, ask anybody, what did you, the matrics are writing their prelims now, most of them are finishing. When I ask them about an exam that they wrote in the beginning of prelims, they look at me like, what? No, man, this was 2 weeks ago, homie. What do you mean you can't remember? But anyway, I want to say thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story. Very interesting story. I mean, especially being married to an autistic coca as well. I mean, what are the odds? And both of you being diagnosed.
Life, actually.
And yeah, no, you've got, and we didn't even unpack like most of the things, and you have a very interesting and inspirational story, I'd say, because like I said earlier on, look how much you've grown in 9 months. Imagine. Your potential is imaginable with your huge imagination. So we'll
like you.
I can't take any credit for anything, bro. I'm not doing anything. I'm just like saying, look over there, and then they look and then they find. I'm not actually, the potential is always within you.
No, but it's like learning a language. Everybody has been speaking a language that I thought I was speaking, but I didn't understand. And you've kind of taught the language now. And
that's a nice way of putting it. I like that.
Because it just creates that sense of understanding of everything. So it's not nothing. It's huge. It's huge.
Yeah. But it's still within you. You still had to put in the effort. It was you. It started and ended with you. And it will continue, and we'll see what you're going to be like when you're a toddler. And we have a lucky evening, and there's like a late night. Thank you very much, Jackie. And good luck with your journey and growth. Au revoir.
Thanks.
Oh, that was such an inspirational story. Jackie has gone through so much, and yet she chooses to be such an amazing person, shining a light. And I'm so grateful that she took the time to share a story with us. All neurodivergent stories are special, and hers was one of those amazing stories. If you would like to share your neurodivergent story, join us on Facebook group, Neurodiversity Support group, and share your story, comment, and say that you would like to be a part of this dialogue to share South African neurodivergent stories. Thank you for joining us, and meet us here again next week. Bye!